Good morning. Good morning. Welcome or welcome back to Bookie Monsters. My name is PK. It is Tuesday, April the 16th. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you very, very much. We are here to look at the new releases that are being set into the wild this week. Every day of the week, we look at them and we look at a different genre every day of the week. On Monday, we look at cozy mysteries. On Tuesday, like today, we look at mysteries and thrillers. On Wednesdays, we look at romance. On Thursday, we look at fantasy and science fiction. And on Friday, it's Freeform Friday. And we look at the other things that have caught our attention or more cozies because there's always a lot of those. Quick announcements. I do have sprints tonight. Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. They will go for 2.5 hours. I do them every Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and then on Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. All right. Let us leap into the new releases because there are a lot of them. First one, big name, David Baldacci. A Calamity of Souls. Set in the tumultuous year of 1968, in Southern Virginia, a racially charged murder case sets a duo of white and black lawyers against a deeply unfair system as they work to defend their wrongfully accused black defendants in this courtroom drama. Jack Lee is a white lawyer from Freeman County, Virginia, who has never done anything to push back against racism until he decides to represent Jerome Washington, a black man charged with brutally killing an elderly and wealthy white couple. Doubting his decision, Lee fears that his legal skills may not be enough to prevail in a case where the odds are already stacked against both him and his client, and he quickly finds himself out of his depth when he realizes that what is at stake is far greater than the outcome of a murder trial. Desiree Dubose is a black lawyer from Chicago who has devoted her life to furthering the causes of justice and equality for everyone. She comes to Freeman County and enters a fractious and unwieldy partnership with Lee in a legal battle against the best prosecutor in the Commonwealth. Yet Dubose is also aware that powerful outside forces are at work to blunt the victories achieved by the civil rights era. An important time in history when there actually was racism. Good morning, Kim. How you doing? Wow. We're having a battle of the banners there. Close to Death by Anthony Horowitz, fifth in the Hawthorne and Horowitz Mysteries. This is the series where the author has actually put himself in the book, himself as himself. Detective Hawthorne is once again called upon to solve an unsolvable case, a gruesome murder in an idyllic gated community in which suspects abound. Riverside Close is a picture-perfect community. The six exclusive and attractive houses are tucked far away from the noise and grime of city life, allowing the residents to enjoy beautiful gardens, pleasant birdsong, and tranquility from behind the security of a locked gate. It is the perfect idyll until the Kentworthy family arrives with their four giant gas-guzzling cars, a gaggle of shrieking children, and plans for a garish swimming pool in the backyard. Obvious outsiders, the Kentworthys do not belong in Riverside Close and quickly offend every last one of the neighbors. When Giles Kentworthy is found dead on his own doorstep, a crossbow sticking out of his chest, Detective Hawthorne is the only investigator they can call to solve the case. Because how do you solve a murder when everyone is a suspect? One piece at a time, just like you eat an elephant. We've got big names this week. Sarah Paretsky. Okay, how am I? I'm okay. Thank you. Got to take Keo to the vet this afternoon for follow-up, but also because I have found more spots, which is very disconcerting. I thought we were getting better. So I'm a little put out about that. Not with my baby boy, just the whole situation. This is 22nd, although up here it says 23rd. Somebody is not counting correctly. This is called Patert. It is the latest in the V.I. Warshawski series, dating back to the 80s, I think, is when she started to write this. Legendary detective V.R. Warshawski uncovers a mystery with roots dating back to the Civil War. V.I. Warshawski is famous for her cool under fire, her intelligence, her humor, her unflinching courage, and her love of good coffee. But even the strongest people sometimes need a break to recharge, so her friends send her to Kansas for a weekend of college basketball where Angela, one of her proteges, is playing, and that's where trouble finds VI. Sabrina, one of Angela's roommates, disappears, and VI agrees to try to find her. Finding a missing person in a city where she knows few people and doesn't have her trusted contacts is hard, but not as hard as the brutally negative reaction to the detective from some of the locals. Well, yeah, she's on their territory. When VI finds Sabrina close to death in a remote house, she lands herself in the FBI's crosshairs and faces a violent online backlash. The men running the county's opioid distribution are also not happy. Discovering a dead body in the same house a few days later, VI is pitched headlong into a local land use battle with roots going back to the Civil War. She finds that today's combatants are just as willing as opponents in the 1860s to kill to settle their differences. Girl that replaced me at work is coming over Friday to help me put books on the bookshelf. Well, that's helpful. Yeah. Butter, a novel of food and murder by Asako Yuzuki, about a female gourmet cook and serial killer, and the journalist intent on cracking her case, inspired by a true story. There are two things that I simply cannot tolerate: feminists and margarine. Gourmet cook Manako Kajii sits in the Tokyo detention house convicted of the serial murders of lonely businessmen whom she is said to have seduced with her delicious home cooking. The case has captured the nation's imagination, but Kaji refuses to speak with the press, entertaining no visitors. That is, until journalist Rika Machida writes a letter asking for her recipe for beef stew, and Kaji can't resist writing back. Rika, the only woman in her news office, works late each night, rarely cooking more than ramen. As the visits unfold between her and the steely Kaji, they are closer to a masterclass in food than journalistic research. Rika hopes this gastronomic exchange will help her soften Kaji, but it seems that Rika might be the one changing. With each meal she eats, something is awakening in her body. Do she and Kaji have more in common than she once thought? Went and watched my boys' team win last night. Good job. You went after foul balls. She's a sweet girl. I was able to work with her for 2 weeks. Oh, good. You know, that's always a nice when you can leave them in good hands. What you feel is good hands. That's good. And that she's coming over to help you. That's fantastic. It Had to Be You by Mary Higgins Clark and Alifair Burke. Big names. This is eighth in the Under Suspicion series. The two identical brothers seemed perfect in every way: handsome, intelligent, popular, until a shocking summer night when one brother killed his parents in cold blood, while the other brother had an ironclad alibi. But which twin was where during the murders? And is it possible the two of them planned the perfect crime together? Years later, the twins are long estranged, each of them claiming to be convinced that the other is responsible for the death of their parents. Married now with children of their own, they may finally be ready to clear one name at the expense of the other and turn to Lori Moran and her team to reinvestigate their parents' murder. But as the Under Suspicion crew gets closer to the truth, the danger that was assumed to be left in the past finds its way into the present. Interesting concept. One of Us Knows, a thriller by Alyssa Cole. Yeah, we've got some big names this week. Years after a breakdown and a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder derailed her historical preservationist career, Kenitria Nash and her alters have been given a second chance they can't refuse, a position as resident caretaker of a historic home. Having been dormant for years, Ken has no idea what led them to this isolated Hudson River island, but she's determined not to ruin their opportunity. Sounds like multiple personality situation. Then a surprise visit from the home's conservation trust just as a nor'easter bears down on the island, disrupts her newfound life, leaving Ken trapped with a group of possibly dangerous strangers, including the man who brought her life tumbling down years earlier. When he shows up dead, Ken is the prime suspect. Caught in a web of secrets and a race against time, Ken and her alters must band together to prove their innocence and discover the truth of Kavanaugh Island and their own past, or they risk losing not only their future, but their life. The Murder Inn by James Patterson and Candace Fox. It's the perfect getaway, but the past will always find you. Dot 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 dot. When, which I'm told is passive aggressive. When ex-cop Bill Robinson takes over the inn by the sea, all he wants is a quiet escape from the city. But when a crime boss moves into town and begins terrorizing Bill's friends, he can't just sit back and watch. It's not long before local criminals are turning up dead and the inn comes under attack. With the help of the inn's fearless residents, Bill must do everything he can to defend his town, his chosen family, and his home. And the next one is the one that I am just giddy about. Good morning, Mary. Happy Tuesday to you. And the good mornings. You doing okay to Kim? Hope so. Off later to a beating session with friends. Oh, that's fantastic. Another Patterson. Yep, he's got an industry. But I am absolutely looking forward. I'm going to be reading this today. I'm about to finish the Deanna Rayburn, which I absolutely love that series as well. C.S. Harris is OG. This is 19th in the Sebastian Sincere mysteries. You have to read it in order. There are story arcs, character development arcs. A seemingly idyllic summer picnic ends in a macabre murder that echoes a pair of slayings 14 years earlier. July 1815. The Prince Regent's grandiose plans to celebrate Napoleon's recent defeat at Waterloo are thrown into turmoil when Lady McGinnis and her daughter Emma are found brutally murdered in Richmond Park, their bodies posed in a chilling imitation of the stone effigies once found atop medieval tombs. Bow Street Magistrate Sir Henry Lovejoy immediately turns to his friend Sebastian Sincere, Viscount Devlin, for help with the investigation. For as Devlin discovers, Lovejoy's own wife and daughter were also murdered in Richmond Park. Oh no. Their bodies posed in the same bizarre postures. A traumatized ex-soldier was hanged for their killings. So is London now confronting a malicious copyist, or did Lovejoy help send an innocent man to the gallows? Aided by his wife Hero, who knew Lady McGinnis from her work with poor orphans, Devlin finds himself exploring a host of unsavory characters, from a vicious chimney sweep to a smiling but decidedly lethal baby farmer, etc., etc. Love that series. Highly recommend if you are getting into historical mysteries. Absolutely. You Know What You Did by KT. Okay, I can never remember when. I think that's how that's pronounced. I apologize. I should know. I am, thank you. Planning to just relax today. That sounds fantastic. And Kim finished The Silver Needle Murder by Laura Childs last night. It was a reread. Excellent. In this heart-pounding debut thriller, a first-generation Vietnamese-American artist must confront nightmares past and present. Annie On Lee Shaw grew up poor but seems to have it all now, a dream career, a stunning home, and a devoted husband and daughter. When Annie's mother, a Vietnam War refugee, dies suddenly one night, Annie's carefully curated life begins to unravel. Her obsessive-compulsive disorder, which she thought she'd vanquished years ago, comes roaring back, but this time the disturbing fixations swirling around in Annie's brain might actually be coming true. A prominent art patron disappears, and the investigation zeroes in on Annie. Spiraling with self doubt, she distances herself from her family and friends, only to wake up in a hotel room naked next to a lifeless body, as one does. The police have more questions, but with her mind increasingly fractured, Annie doesn't have answers. All she knows is this: she will do anything to protect her daughter, even if it means losing herself. While We Were Burning by Sarah Coffey. Examining the intersection of race, class, and female friendship and the devastating consequences of everyday actions. After her best friend's mysterious death, Elizabeth Smith's picture perfect life in the Memphis suburbs has spiraled out of control, so much so that she hires a personal assistant to keep her on track. Composed and elegant, Brianna is exactly who she needs and slides so neatly into Elizabeth's life, almost like she belonged there from the start. Soon, the assistant Elizabeth hired to distract her from her obsession with her friend's death is the same person working with her to uncover the truth behind it, because Brianna has questions too. She wants to know why the police killed her young black son, why someone in Elizabeth's neighborhood called the cops on him that day, who took that first step that stole her child away from her. And the only way she's ever going to be able to find out is to entwine herself deep, deeply, grammar please, into Elizabeth's life where the answers to her questions lie. As the two women hurtle towards an electrifying final showdown and the lines between employer and friend blur, it becomes clear that neither of them is what they first appeared. Dun dun dun. Mary's enjoying the sequel to 620 Man. It is The Edge by David Baldacci and set in Maine. Really like it so far. Good to hear. The Darkest Water by Mark Edwards. This chilling thriller. If you don't take your dark secrets to the grave, maybe they'll take you there first. Ew. Calvin finally owns the bakery of his dreams in an idyllic village in the Lake District. After reluctantly following his wife Vicky's advice to promote it on social media, he's thrilled when a viral clip makes him a legend overnight. But then the creepy DMs start flooding in, all from a stranger who claims she's his biggest fan. Meanwhile, a local recluse is found on a nearby beach, buried to his neck and left to drown, and the community goes into shock. Why would anyone want him dead, and who exactly was he? Detective Imogen Evans, new to the Lake District, is under pressure to find out before the killer strikes again. As the murder hunt gathers pace, Calvin's obsessive admirer turns up right on cue after his assistant is injured in an accident, and to Vicky's horror, she's here to stay. As events begin spiraling into darkness, is there anyone in this quiet backwater Calvin can trust, or have his mistakes already put him and everyone he loves in terrible danger? Got lots of thrillers this week. Blood Mountain by Alyssa Lynn Valdez, second in series. Jody Luna series. New Mexico game warden Jody Luna disrupts a murderous wilderness adventure. Former poetry professor Jody Luna hasn't quite adjusted to life as a game warden. Her boss thinks she's better with animals than humans, and the man she's seeing wants a real relationship. Still reeling from her husband's death, Jody has to admit that she keeps people at a distance. After her new friend, wealthy actress Claudia Evans, gathers the family members in the New Mexico wilderness, Jody gets some unsettling news that Claudia's brother-in-law is missing. Eager to help, Jody ventures into the wild to investigate, only to be thwarted by a blizzard that leaves the entire group stranded at a fishing lodge. Jody is no stranger to extreme weather, but when these reluctant adventurers start turning up mauled around the snowed-in lodge, Jody suspects the worst. This was no bear. This was murder. And inside the snowy confines of this rustic hideaway, everyone is fair game for a killer. They always got to find a way to isolate them with a storm of some kind. Doesn't matter the season. Death at the Spring Fling, Aloha Lagoon Mystery Book number 21. Not heard of this. By Rosalie Spielman. It's springtime in Aloha Lagoon, Hawaii, and romance is in the air, along with murderous intentions. The dive shop where Kiki Hepburn works is maybe I have, but that name sounds familiar. Is sponsoring the first annual Aloha Lagoon Resort Spring Fling Dance and naturally is in charge of the under the sea themed decor. In between hanging crepe paper, jellyfish tentacles, and paper mache hanu, Kiki witnesses an argument between two men and is unsurprised to see her old foe Ruby Nakasoma right in between them. But what does surprise her is when during the dance, Kiki and her boyfriend Dex find one of the men dead, with Ruby leaning over him holding a vicious looking murder weapon. Kiki thinks Ruby's true nature has finally caught up to her, but when Ruby makes a heartfelt appeal for help, Kiki starts looking for a murderer who may or may not be finished. Honor the Dead by Amy Tector. I'm going fast because we've got two more after this and we're running out of time. Third in the Dominion Archives mysteries. Dr. Kate Spencer is back. Blah, blah, blah. It's been a few months since the events of the previous book, and Dr. Kate Spencer is seeking a temporary reprieve in the bucolic eastern townships of Quebec, where she can come to terms with her brother's death, find inner peace, build new relationships, and await a decision about her future. But when a man at a neighboring farm is shot through the eye with deadly accuracy, a metal detector lying next to him, Kate can't help but investigate. As she delves deeper into the mystery, Kate uncovers a world of drugs, lies, and violence hidden beneath the picturesque town, all of which threaten the tenuous police she's built for herself. Uh, long buried, as long buried secrets and a centuries old mystery become exposed, what will Kate lose to find the answers she seeks? She will lose sleep for sure. On a different topic, how is the new first? Training almost over, at least the intense first training that has covered so much. He is doing so well that I am afraid. I'm afraid. Maybe he's a serial killer. I don't know. He's doing so very well. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Okay, the bell rang, but we're gonna do this super duper quick. Lost to Dune Road by Kara Thomas. For a disgraced reporter, unraveling a conspiracy of murder could mean redemption in a powerful novel of suspense. Reporter Lee Elrin's investigation into a young woman's unsolved murder gained national attention, only for her to lose everything due to a tragic mistake. After being publicly ridiculed for causing a suspect's death, Lee is forced to leave her career behind. 5 years later, pregnant college student Amanda Hartley lies in a coma. She, as she's pulled back into the still unsolved case that destroyed her career, Lee sees the chance to amend the mistakes of her past. But finding a killer and unearthing Amanda's secrets sends her down a darker path than she has ever walked before. It's an interesting cover. Nothing But the Bones by Brian Panowich. In McFalls County, local crime boss Gareth Burrows runs everything on the mountain, and Nelson Nails McKenna has been his enforcer since he was a teenager, though his heart's not really in the dirty work. Then one night in a local roadhouse, Nails goes too far defending a woman, and even Burrows's reach can't get him out of this one. With a dead body and countless witnesses, Nails and the woman become fugitive on the run and unlikely partners. But on the road to Jacksonville, where a possible escape awaits, there's more than one interested party on the pair's trail, and the glimpse that they had of getting away scot-free suddenly seems elusive. In the end, Nails must make one final stand for his freedom or pay for both of their lives. And we made it. Woo! Lots of big names this week and lots of thrillers. I would say those were the two. Oh, don't you commercial. Bah. Oh, very dissatisfied. All right. uh, hooray. Yes, he's doing great. His name is Ezra. Thank you very much, Kim. You too. Let me switch. All righty. Those were the mysteries and thrillers being released into the wild this week. Tomorrow we'll be looking at the romances, and the day after we'll be looking at the fantasy and science fiction. On Friday it'll be free form. We'll just look at things that are looking interesting to us and the cozy mysteries. We do have sprints tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. They will go for 2.5 hours. I do them every Tuesday and Thursday evening and Saturday afternoons. Hope you have a very good Tuesday. Read good books. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Om nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.